So I want you to all come here, and we're going to try and debate the issue whether, is lecturing on participation the only way to teach students about participation. So come and join me in this place.
Okay.
We're trying to act like our students.
Maybe we should be slouching before them.
Actually, I'm trying to act like my students. I should be texting.
Okay, so what do you think about lecturing to students about participation in order to teach them about participation? Anyone?
I think that's a good proposal.
Good proposal?
To
Okay, so
let them to participate.
whoever agrees with Carlos can move towards Carlos.
What exactly was the proposal? We should lecture or we shouldn't lecture?
He says yes, it's a good
Should
proposal.
lecture.
Shouldn't. You're saying shouldn't.
Shouldn't.
No, he
Should
said
not
should.
or should?
He said should.
What
Should.
Sure.
We should lecture our students
Sure.
about participation.
Sure.
All right.
And do we
Did you
move?
say should?
Do we move away from disagree, or we just stay?
If you disagree with him, move away from them.
Why
But I
do
do
you
like to
I didn't
understand better
understand, so I
what he's
didn't
saying.
understand. What?
Yeah.
I didn't understand.
I never fix now.
I didn't understand shouldn't. I understood should. So why you say?
yes or
Yes.
no? Why did you say yes or no? Did you say yes?
You
I asked
disagree.
whether,
Lecture participation or what?
yes, should lecturing be the way to go about teaching your students about participation? Giving them a lecture on participation.
Oh,
Is that
only lectures
Ah,
and
no.
telling only lectures?
Yes.
Oh,
No.
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 Never say that.
So you guys are thinking that lecture should be participation. Students
No.
should be lectured.
I don't think it should be lectured.
Then you should come
Then
here.
you should come here.
Sorry. I'm shuffling this way.
So this is the what?
Yes.
What?
I feel the lecture, the long lecture with many concepts, explaining what participation is, so that the students hear and understand the theories, is very important for them to understand participation. So I don't agree with Carlos. I think that we need the lecture.
I disagree with both because I do not know what is the intention behind the participation. If the participation is meant at empowering the voice of the student, then this is what I think we need to be more explicit around participation for what.
Yes, I think I
Yeah.
But the students don't know.
They don't know.
What don't they know? What participation is, the theories of it.
Yeah, they don't know the theories, that they're expecting the theories from us.
So I
And they
think
will be irritated if we don't give them the theory.
Yes, but
I
it
don't
has to be a
think-
combination of both theory and practice. And if you only give them theories, they won't know how to relate to participation, which is the key issue you're talking about.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's a value in short periods of lecturing to clarify concepts. I don't think you should just launch students into participation. I think you give them key concepts the key tools they need to use in an exercise, and then get them talking amongst themselves.
I have to stand on your toes.
I don't think we can get closer.
I think this group has a very diverse point of view.
I think you should select it more
Controversial topic.
We argued.
I think it is also important to draw on the students' own experience of participation in other settings. Perhaps there were other classes in which they participated already. We're making the assumption that this is the first class in which they would be participating.
But there's not only participation in classroom.
As
You're talking about
empowerment.
participation in every part of your life. So whether it's your family, your community, the society, you're talking about participation all around.
Yes, absolutely agree. That's why I say participation in more than one area other than the classroom.
Well,
I have a point. Let's see.
I think that you can't just reduce the participation to a practical issue or a theoretical. The problem is really how to relate both, how to let the students to understand from lectures and to think their own experience, their own life, in all the spice of their life. They have to think, what does participate mean in school, in my house, with my friends. So I think that they are very related, and maybe it's wrong to try to isolate both of them. The problem is, how do we relate both?
Simin.
All right. So then you have to come up with relational categories of how these things are connected.
John, Simin was talking.
I think we should ask the students whether they want to participate or not.
Oh my God, they're going to jump into your lap now. Well, do you agree with Simin?
No.
No.
I think students have been socialized into a consumer mentality, at least in my context, in their learning, and they want to be lectured at by a smart person, and that should not be the last word. I think you have to engage with that, but you have to actually explain to them why you're not going to let that be the last word.
Yes, yes.
Yes, I also believe.
Why are you guys standing here?
I want to come halfway to him.
Halfway between the two, I think. I do think that students are socialized into that mode of teacher stands at the front and mediates content. Content is absorbed. You know stuff, you write it down, you get your grade at the end of the day. And we should challenge that model. But I also think that if we're just doing that didactic, these are the theories, this is what participation is, this is how we engage, or if we're just doing what do you think about participation? What do you think participation should be? You're going to get students who are deeply dissatisfied, and you're not going to get a really democratic learning space at all, I don't think. I think you can't do either or, and it's difficult to do both, because you've already got a balance between the empirical and the theoretical if you want to achieve it. But it also depends on what your course outcomes are. I mean, if you're teaching in a lecture situation in a university, it's different to training people for an NGO. So there's that as well to think about.
So do people want to move towards Sharon?
It's okay.
Okay, Carlos.
Bettina.
I feel with Samin that not to open up a discussion about the right to participate in the classroom or the expectation is undemocratic, and it's missing out part of the the steps we have to take to engender democracy by not asking the students whether they want to participate or not.
What if they say no?
Yes, it's supposed
To ask them if they...
So,
Well, what if they say no? We need to know where you're going with this before we decide.
If they say no, we've opened up a democratic discussion about participation as a right.
Then you've tricked them into participating.
Nice. Very sneaky.
And if they were to say no,
If they were to say no, would you give them their grades at the end of it all?
I agree with David that the problem is
come here, David.
it's not it is not really only a problem of learning, but of taking conscience about how they are in this society, and it is not just to learn how to participate, but to have conscience that to participate is to assume responsibilities for all the others, and that you have to do in the school, outside, in family, in all your society, at the local and at the global level. And so I think that is the issue that you are discussing with them. So it is not just a matter to ask, do you want to participate? No, because it is not just a decision, it is a conscience about the importance that it has to their lives.
David, and then we stop. Because we've had lots of perspectives that we need to talk about.
I would also say that we never give up our authority in the classroom. We can't give up our authority in the classroom. And so we actually have a certain ability to sway students and to command students. And that we have a choice about whether to use that for participation or use it to simply reinforce students' received opinions about what learning is. And I choose to fight for participation.
Everyone is